solely dependent on imports. And we know when we're dependent on imports, international price volatility, they will come, distort the domestic price commodities, and the poorest of the poor who are currently having inadequate access in as far as affordability is concerned will be heavily impacted upon. So that part of agricultural land that we have lost in Mpumalanga, there is now plans to relocate it to Eastern Cape, because Eastern Cape also has got huge amount of high prime agricultural land which belong to former homelands, has not been fully and adequately been utilized to optimum use. However, there are issues in relation to land tenure, and of course you will know that land tenure and investment in agriculture, they go hand in hand. So if you don't have your land tenure rights in as far as your title deeds, the banks, when you go to them and say, I want production loans, they say, but what is your security? What is your collateral? And these are the issues that we are faced with at the moment. It means then, therefore, government and the other developing partners and development institutions must then partner with the grain industry for us to replace that very same amount of land that we have lost to mining. And this continues. And I think before up to a level where we have the Food Security Act, it will continue because there are competing demands. And of course, the economy has to grow. And we know the mood and everyone else who come to South Africa, they always want to rate us down because of where we are. And of course, we want to keep our economy thriving, but not at the expense of food security. And of course, we need to have that balance. And it's a very, very difficult balance to strike, because at the highest level, it's always about your macroeconomy, macroeconomic approach, positioning South Africa to be the biggest. Well, now we have lost the plot of being the highest in Africa. So we're that biggest economy in Africa, of course, but highly developed country, and we still remain a pivotal economy in as far as the African economy is concerned. So these are the issues that we're dealing with. However, if you look into that, South Africa continues to register more increase in as far as the access or inadequate access to food is concerned. So from 2013, we were sitting at about 13.8 million South Africans that had issues or inadequate access to food. In 2014, we increased to 4.1 million. Now, a country like South Africa with a GDP, with the size of the JSE that we have, the size of the economy we have, and having 14.1 million South Africans going to bed hungry, it's a call for concern. And it's a call for concern because the right to have adequate access to food is enshrined in the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the country. Therefore, individuals whose right is being affected, in other words, they have got a legal right to go to the judicial system and be able to say, hey, my right has been infringed upon, because it's an individual right. Like I said to you, my introduction was saying we have individualized the right to access to food in South Africa because of the fact that the Constitution individualizes it. And this is how the policy also perpetuates down the line. However, we don't have a Food Security Act, which is one of the biggest omissions this government at this moment in time we're working on for us to legitimize the right and criminalize the violation of the very same right. So I'm going to share with you the progression as well, how far we have progressed, because it's not doom and gloom. I mean, as a country, if you look, for instance, we have done well as from 2002, but from 2011, the figures started showing another picture. And I will share with you why and how we are planning to come out of it, because it's all about who is controlling the food system. And it's a big debate. Of course, the players in the food system don't want you to touch that subject because you are touching the economy. You are touching the economics of agriculture. You're touching the economics of food. And therefore, individuals, when you're touching the economics of food, they will quickly say, yeah, are you planning to run South Africa down like our neighbors? You know what I mean? And that's not the intention of government. We're not intending to do so. But we're going to share with you some of the strategies which we have learned from China, from India, from Brazil, and to some extent Kenya, on how we are aiming to revitalize the rural industries and rural economy to thrive while we are keeping the macroeconomy of the country thriving as well. Because we are the major exporter of grain within the region and within where we are sitting in the SADC region. So we need to continue to do that. We can't suffocate the macroeconomic agricultural sector, while the microeconomic agriculture sector also need to thrive. Because at the moment, we have an oxymoron situation where the macro agricultural economy is suppressing the micro agriculture economy and rendering your smallhold and subsistence producers inefficient in as far as them participating within the agriculture economy. And that become an oxymoron which require a policy direction and a clear statement of intent from government and its partners moving forward, including the food industry, because we can't do it without the food industry. And the whole value chain supply, if you look at it, is within the food industry. So therefore, we can't compete with each other. So we have got needs to feed the 14.1 million. The industry needs to continue to thrive, and we as South Africa, we must also position ourselves within the global economy as a significant player that we are moving forward.